What's up, everyone? So this morning it rained out and now the weather's cleared up, and I thought, you know what, it's a good day to do a 1-year review on my Smartcap by RSI. Now, I installed this thing a year ago, and since then I've taken it in extreme cold and extreme heat and just all kinds of different weather environments. And I thought, okay, well, let's circle back around. Let's show the pros and cons. Let's show some features. And that way, if you want to buy this, you can also buy this. Now, this isn't the only cap that's on the market. There's other stainless steel caps out there. I'm not saying, hey, this is the only one you should buy, but I'm gonna show you, for a lot of the people that had mixed reviews on whether they should buy this or not, I'm telling you, this thing has worked for me. So let's check it out. This is my Smartcap Evo-A by RSI. Let's go. All right, so RSI offers the Smartcap in 3 different styles. You have an Evo-Adventure, that's the Evo-A. You have the Evo Sport, Evo-S, and you have the Evo-C is the commercial. Mine that I have is the Adventure. As you can see, there's no window, it's solid. On both sides, it's solid. The only thing that isn't is your back. Your back is just a tinted window, but it's solid also. Now the S, the Sport, it will have a window on all the sides. So you have glass on all the sides. So out here where I'm at, obviously I opted for not having glass for a specific reason. There's a lot of rocks, and when I'm driving down trails, I'm gonna kick up rocks. There's branches that are hanging off. I just didn't want the glass broken. I've seen on the Sports, some people have the glass broken. So for that reason, and then I'm sleeping in it security wise. So that's why I went with the Adventure. But I don't think there's any really difference in them. I've heard some reviews on leaking on the Sports, but I've never had any leaking at all on this. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. Now the commercial, I'm not too familiar with that. The commercial is more for people that have small businesses, or like blue collar workers, or people that want to secure tools and things like that for work. I think it's a great option, and you'll have to look into it because I'm not familiar with that. So the next thing we'll go into, there's a couple things about this. Some people were talking about the locks freezing up on them. Some of the older locks, they ended up reviewing all that and they ended up making new locks, so they're a lot better. Some of the seams, because these things are put together in multiple pieces, so there's seams right here. People were worried about the leaking. Some people had issues with that. Some people had issues with the paint. As you can see, I've had no issues with the paint, and my cap's been through extreme weather. It's tested, so I can tell without it. I mean, truthfully, I can tell that the paint, it's held up. Everything's held up on this thing. And I'm gonna tell you some of the tricks that I did to keep it from from rusting, from paint going bad, from it leaking. So let's go into that. Okay, so let's talk about one of the major things people were talking about was the leaking. They said, okay, well, I paid this much money for this cap, it shouldn't be leaking. Nothing's perfect. I'm sorry, you get it. I know it's like, I should be able to just put this together and it's perfect. Well, you're in the elements, sometimes you gotta modify stuff. So what I did, if you buy one of these, here's a trick for that. I took in between these panels, the front, side, the back, the top, all of them, I put in between them, I put silicone, a bead of silicone in there, and then I put the bolts on and sandwiched it together. And it hasn't leaked at all. It hasn't. I haven't had any leaking whatsoever. I also did, in addition to that, I did add a little bead along the outside in this little seam right here. On all the seams, I added some silicone as well. That has kept it from leaking. I haven't had any issues, and you can barely see it. You can barely see the silicone on there, and out here, who cares? I'm not looking for a prize. So really, it's been worth it. It hasn't leaked. In the heat, in the cold, there hasn't been any issues with leaking. So for people that have had issues with leaking, that's something you could do. Now, if you already assembled it, yes. Now you can see that it doesn't leak because it's gonna pour out in a second here. So people that already put their Smartcap together, what you can do is you can still run a bead of silicone. If you don't want to pull it apart, just run a bead of silicone on the seams. Just run it on there. I will bet that that will solve the leaking problems. But that's what I did for the leaking. Now the other thing, the locks. So these locks, right? There was an issue with this. People were saying that they were freezing. So this was freezing up. This lock part was freezing. And what RSI ended up doing is they came up with these little covers. Now I understand there's some that have different covers on them, but people were saying that the keyholes were freezing and the locks were freezing in the winter. That's how they took care of that. They put covers on it. I've had no issues with it at all. Let's see, what else do we have? The paint. Let's see, the paint, I've had no issues. Nothing has happened with the paint. I've had no chipping, nothing whatsoever. So now it's raining, so I am gonna turn on things in here. See, that's what I love about this thing, is that it sounds like rain hitting a tin roof. And this is perfect. This is perfect. It's raining out and the timing was just right to test it. That's why I wanted to do this today. I knew it was gonna rain out. So I said, why not do it today? The other, since we're inside here and it's raining out and storming out, I'm gonna show you the interior the best I can, because obviously I'm in the back of a Tacoma, so it's a little difficult for me to move around in here. But one of the other things that is great about the Smartcap is that it does have this little sliding window. Obviously, it gets a little wet if you don't have the pass-through. So stay tuned, because I'm looking at making one of these. They do have them where they inflate and they go around here. So I'm gonna do my solar a different day. I'm gonna show you guys that a different day. But some of the features with the Smartcap, let's see. Some of the features in the back here. I'm gonna show you these connectors right here. So when you assemble your Smartcap, you're gonna get these little, they're almost like little blocks that sandwich this together. And they're spaced out about 8 inches all the way across. And it's like that all the way on, all the panels are that way. And so make sure that you follow what the directions say as far as foot-pounds for tightening them, because I did break one of them, and which leads me to my next bit. I broke one of these pieces, and this is the customer service of RSI. It's amazing. It's amazing. I contacted them, and immediately they sent me a bag of 30, 60, 90, and just enough to make 100. So I got 100 of these connectors. They just sent them. They were like, you know what? If you ever break one of those again, now you have enough. If anybody you know has a Smartcap and ends up breaking a connector, now you have enough. So amazing customer service. In fact, I just contacted them a couple weeks ago. My son wanted to buy a Smartcap, and I wanted to see if these were in stock, and because mine is for a 6-foot bed, and they were in stock. So they should have them in production, and they should have plenty of them if you're looking for them. But I just wanted to bring up that little bit about their customer service. Let's see. If you look in one of my other videos, one of my shorts, I also explain about locks. People were saying, how do you how do you lock yourself in so that people can't get in there when you're sleeping? So what I do is, if you look at this, I turn this down. There's a little button or a little pad on here. I back this up, and then here's this red thing. The old ones used to not be able to do this. The locks used to not be able to do this. So what I do is just like that, and it's locked. It locks itself. And then, but you have to make sure you lock the outside one, where the keyhole is. Then in the morning or whatever, you just pop it and it opens it right up, just like that. Same thing with the side ones. Same thing. Pop that one open. I can pop this one open, and there, just like that. So now that rain stopped, I think we're gonna go back outside and go through the rest of this. All right, so now that it stopped raining, I think I'm gonna go into a little bit of the accessories and also some things that you should think about when you buy one of these. For starters, this thing weighs almost 200 pounds. So when you assemble it and you put it on the back of your truck, have a couple people help you. I've seen people that have rigged up systems in their garage where with pulleys and things like that, they lift it up, drive the truck underneath, lower it down. If you can do that, heck yeah, do it. I'm almost thinking of doing the same thing as setting it up. The only reason why I haven't done that is because of the setup I have on the top. Those are my solar panels. I have two 100-watt Renogy panels, and that's a whole different video that we'll get into. Not movie, video. We will look at that. I'll talk about my solar setup. You can see these load bars right here, and I just opted to put those panels on, but you can get these load bars. They also have racks that you can put up on top, and they come off to the side and then they fold down. Really just, they have so many different accessories for these smart caps. Let's see, what's another thing that we need to think about? Suspension. Yes, so you're putting all that weight on there. You're not just putting a cap on there, you're putting things in the back as well. So you gotta think about your payload. And that becomes an issue, and that was an issue with me, and I had to upgrade not only the shocks in the back, but I had to upgrade my leaf springs. So if you look at these leaf springs, I had to upgrade with these heavy duty old man emus, and those were almost $1,000. So it's not just buying the cap, it's also buying the things to support that. Now this is a mid-size truck, so that might be different from a full-size truck. You may not even need to worry about that. I'm just going off of if you have a Tacoma and looking to get a smart cap. If you have something like a Ranger or you know, anything like that, a mid-size truck, you might have to look into that. The other thing to think about is your front brakes, because that weight, now the weight is being pushed forward. So if you're going downhill or you're stopping suddenly, all that weight's being pushed into the front of your vehicle, into those brakes constantly. So you may need to think about upgrading your calipers on your brakes. So just a couple things to think about with this. Other than that, like I said, RSI Smartcap, this is the Evo-Adventure. I've had no issues with it, none. I've had no problems with the paint. I've had no problems with the locks. I've had no issues with it leaking, nothing. It's been great, and it's been a game changer. It changed everything. So that's really it. That's it. You know, look at my other videos. We're gonna go more into depth. I'll show some more of the gear that I have, some of the, like the solar setup, the lighting. I'll show you the drawer system that I have. Yeah, just stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, so that is the Smart Cap, the Evo A. I just wanted to show y'all, after a year of owning this, I wanted to show how much this has gone through and still held up. So it is quality. Price tag on this thing, right around $4,000. So it's not cheap, but it's worth it if you overland regularly, if you're camping regularly, if you're using the back of your truck, even if you don't overland, and you're using it for any other purpose, you may want to invest in something like this. Now, RSI is not the only company that sells these. There's other companies that you can also look at, somewhat cheaper. I went with this simply because it just, the way it shaped with the truck, it just looked really well. And I also just at the time, it was kind of like, I don't know, I want to get the highest quality one because I'm going to be using this for a lot of different things. So anyway, like I said, there's 3 different kinds. We'll go further into my setup in the back. We'll go into the lighting. We'll go into the solar. That's a whole different subject. We'll go into the drawer system I have, and just follow along with my videos because I have a whole bunch of other gear that I need to review, and I haven't done it. So follow along on the next video. We'll go into more things. Thanks for watching.